This is an Adventures in Middle-earth actual play using Fantasy Grounds. You can find session summaries, items, and characters on World Anvil, where our campaign is called In the Shadow of the Mountains. You'll find links to that and other forms of media for our sessions, as well as an index of this episode in the description. As usual, this episode has jump cuts to speed up the session. Previously on, Orcs had been sneaking around Mountain Hall, but the locals had quickly chased them off, though not before a watchman had been assaulted, then thrown off the cliff edge. Lucky for him, he had been spotted on a ledge by Sigmarr, who organised his rescue. Hathus expertly healed him, saving his life. Hartfast, the leader of Mountain Hall, showed his thanks by making the companions friends of the Berg, and a small celebration was held in their honour. Leaving Mountain Hall, resolved to ultimately check out the dark fortress Dwimmerhorn in the Gladden Fields, the Fellowship made for Trader's Island an ideal setting-off point. The journey was largely uneventful, and we joined the party as they arrive on the island.
So if you remembered from the last session, you saved a man's life up in Mountain Hall, were set a task, or actually provided a guide, and then suggested roughly where to look to go and find out what strange darkness is emerging in the marshes. And you spent a few days travelling south, ending up on a narrow
Trader Island, isn't it, or something?
Trader's Island in the middle of the Anduin, yeah. So I spent a long time adding a whole bunch of stuff to World Anvil, which has got all of the detail there. And thank you very much, Steve, and Wolfshield Games for a fine piece of work with the video for YouTube. Much appreciated.
There's people watching it nowadays. It's unbelievable. Who'd ever listen to us?
I see they're relatives or friends of yours.
Yeah.
or sock puppets.
I mean, I know I've got a right Irish Catholic side, but there are even that many. The last one had 44 views on YouTube, and then it had like 30 downloads for the podcast, and that was for this one. Oh, sorry, the last session.
God, no pressure, guys.
That's really
Good.
51 subscribers on YouTube.
I expect your best voice acting gentleman from now on in that. So, you basically pull up in this small boat that ferried you across the Anduin. It took about 15 minutes. They weren't, I would say, rowing or quanting more very, very fast, but you end up on this thin strip of land. If you wanted to look on World Anvil, there is an image of it there. I'm not going to download too many images here. They're big, but it's probably only about 50 yards across by about maybe a third of a mile long. Trees on the island, never more than probably 20 feet above the water level at any time. There's a very well-worn path from where you're dropped off, with some wooden steps sort of dug into the earth. You climb up a small bank and you're basically on the level island. The path leads through a little copse of trees, and then you come out into an area with a load of colourful tents and temporary structures. They're not permanent, although some of them look like they've been here for a long time based on the paths around them. But there are traders, and it looks like all of the trade is happening through the river. There are quite a few boats moored both sides of the river, and people coming up to do business with the traders here. What do you want to do?
Get some fresh food, I think, first of all.
I guess wander up there and mingle and see what we could see. So, roughly how many people are there, John?
Probably 30, 40.
Okay.
Quite a decent number.
I guess we should wander up there and mingle a bit.
Morin's going to cast his eye over them to see if there's anybody who sticks out.
Yeah, Hathus will go for a bit of a undirected mooch to start off with. Just get a sense of feel for the place.
Where are we? So if you look on the map, the party, there's a little arrow showing the party, and you're on the island in the Anduin there.
It's not the party. Oh, no.
Trader's Island is a refuge of the river folk. It is one of the larger islands in the Anduin. The river splits around a rocky outcropping like that of the Carrack, but basically it's like a bow of a ship at the front. You can see the water and hear it actually from here, forging around it. And there's a large amount of silt that's formed the island behind it. So it's basically, looks like it would have been just a rocky outcropping. That has obviously been worn down over many years, and the island is basically on a flattish piece of like a sandbar that's now got a lot of trees and stuff on behind it. Stunted trees and long grasses seem to kind of bind the island together. You're recommended by Magritte not to go too near the edges because it's not always safe and you can be swept away. But yeah, there are lots of people trading. If you're interested in looking around what's going on here, you can maybe find some items to buy.
Yeah, Hathus will do a quick wander around and get an idea of what kind of stalls there are. Is it just bolts of cloth and fur, or is it pots and pans and armor, or is it, what are the options? Like if you the first scoot round a craft fair, you scoot round fast, see if it's all shite or whether there's anything worth looking at, and then you might home in on the hand whittled wood stall or the
It looks like
pottery stall.
It looks like a dream for people who are interested in curiosities from the length and breadth of the Anduin. It's like a bric-a-brac gone wild type island.
Oh God!
So if you imagine like a large load of like bring 'em by sale of weird, interesting items and artifacts, that would be exactly what this looks like.
Well, that's quite interesting because it won't be run of the mill stuff. There might be something of like, oh blimey, haven't seen one of these. I wasn't expecting one of those. So Hathus will especially look for anyone with anywhere where there's books or sort of scrolls or anything else that might interest his more highbrow collections.
Okay, so what I will ask you to do is give me a intelligence investigation check. You're basically browsing loads and loads of stuff with hawkers trying to sell you pots, pans, pouches full of weird-looking fungus, or you name it.
Fungus. Oh, yeah, okay. No, okay. So what was that? Which role was that, John? Intelligence investigation?
Intelligence investigation, yeah.
In the tower or in the open?
Do it in the open, that's fine.
3 plus 7 is 10.
Show off.
Yeah, you're honing in on something, but basically the stall holder is just determined to sell you some really interesting food and drink. You strike up actually a good friendship with this river trader, a good conversation, and which ends up in friendship. And you end up spending a couple of silver pennies equal to twice your proficiency bonus, sharing a drink, cup of tea, a pipe. He gives you some absolutely fantastically spicily flavored sausage and like a sausage sandwich, like in a roll, and which is really, really nice. And he so just cross off some silver pieces. You felt so equivalent to twice your proficiency bonus for that, which is probably quite. You spent a fortune with him. He's very, very amiable with you.
Most expensive sausage sandwich I've had since.
I've been to places like this. They're crammed with pushchairs.
Yeah, so basically you are counted as so these are called the Airfolk. You spend your silver pennies and you are now counted as an Airfolk friend from if you visit the island again, which gives you bonuses on other things. So yeah, he's really, really friendly. Being a woodman and actually from fairly close to here helped. You had some common stuff you were discussing. Anyone else wants to try their luck to find any bargains? Let me know.
Molin's going to be more interested in the politics, the sort of martial side of it. So he's walking around, he's looking more at the people. Who's armed? Is there any kind of central place that looks like where they're reporting to? Is there guard towers? Is there anybody who's carrying arms who doesn't quite look like they're a woodman or fit in there? That kind of thing.
So you can see a bunch of there's food vendors. There are normal equipment sellers. There isn't that much, I guess, because there's quite a few folk here. Some of them are armed. I would say about 20% of the stall holders and the ones that have more valuable looking stock, like wine, for example. It's like a wine store. They have someone with weapons, but no, they're not really that well armed. It's not the kind of place orcs would invade or anything, and they obviously know a lot of the river folk know each other around here, and some of it's being bartered. It's not even exchanging coin. So the kind of things you can see, as well as like normal types of equipment that you'd normally be able to buy, and typical trade goods, wine, for example. Someone selling Lucky Charms, looks like multiple drink stores, those kind of things. If you want to try your luck, you can roll a dice and see, make an investigation check to try and find something interesting, like Chris did. Otherwise, it's just literally just a series of shops. You can just buy kind of what you want.
His sausage sandwich is delicious, he'll say as Moaning wanders by.
Yeah, he'll spend twice his proficiency and become an ale-freak friend.
No, you roll on the table.
Hey, roll and see what you get.
Give me an investigation check. The sausages are easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I only got a 10.
You could find something much more valuable.
Yeah.
17. Right. This is very interesting.
Spend 10 times your proficiency bonus.
You bought a lucky charm of the air folks. You spent gold pieces equivalent to your proficiency
good,
bonus.
You've been completely fleeced.
I
didn't even get a sausage sandwich.
Luckily, your proficiency bonus, I think, is 0. Oh, no, it's just 2. Your standard proficiency. Actually, I'm not even sure you are proficient.
I'm not proficient in investigation, but obviously got the normal proficiency.
If you're not
Plus
proficient,
2.
you don't apply it, I don't think. So you don't. You
bonus is just a standard level-based thing, isn't it?
I assumed it was my
exactly.
my plus 2 for being 4th level or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not my plus 7 for being good at investigation.
So you've got a very nicely carved bonefish shaped motif.
Bearing the timeless legend Frey Bonnie Scotland. Rampant mackerel ashtray.
I only have 1 gold piece though, and I have no money.
So you spent mark up 8 silver. You spent 2 silver on that. You weren't quite fleeced as badly. There are some interesting stuff on here. That wasn't one of them. Actually, it's a rabbit foot on a leather neck thong. That's what you bought, and the person selling it was very convincing that it's got magical elven properties.
Ah!
Magical dwarven properties.
I've dropped it in your. It's called River Charm. I think I put it in your. Or at least I tried to put it in your. River Charm. So have a look at what it is. It actually does have some beneficial properties.
Oh, okay. I'll have a look. And how much do I take off for that? Sorry, was it 2 silver or 4?
Make it 5, because it does actually have some determined value in the game.
Okay.
Well, Sigmarr is wandering around with his agent's eye open, seeing what he can see, but he's certainly not intending to buy anything.
So yeah, it is literally just traders. I mean, people are here buying and selling. There's some deals being done. Looks like there was an area where people are having a very serious conversation, kind of looking like almost like contracts are being discussed with much larger deals. But most of it looks like river traders and then people from the Anduin who are coming here to buy things. The stock here is way, way better than you've seen in the kind of settlements in Mirkwood. Definitely better than anything like Stonyford, which tends to be just basic tools that are made by the villagers there. Probably second only to Mountain Hall in terms of availability of stock. It doesn't seem to be particularly dangerous. I mean, it's naturally very well protected by the river, and they'll get a decent walling if anything's there. And it looks like it's the sort of place that they could clear up and bugger off on boats really fast if they needed to.
Possible sanctuary?
You could open it. The issue would be though, it's not the kind of place you'd want to winter at because there's no protection here. So you don't know if people are coming and going all year round. You doubt it though. Value of the place as a sanctuary is not high. The value of being friends here is positive though.
Yeah, it's a good place to come for supplies and maybe when we get to know people, a bit of gossip and news, etc. So it's a good place to come to.
And it's very
is unusual stuff that isn't normal trading. So if there's none of that, then that's fine.
No, it's definitely just trading. There's nothing. Magric's not really blending in with people. He's kind of sitting, smoking a pipe, looking out over the river. He looks quite bored with trade and stuff. you were quite keen to come here, so he kind of tolerated that. But so Gladden Fields, you can see it's marked on the map, is where you're wanting to head for. You could buy a small skiff to go down the river, because if you remember, Magric suggested going down the river from east of the Wolf's Wood and then going back up the tributary, and getting off the other side of the river, because there's no real boats to cross it unless you've got one. So going up the Gladden that way, and then getting off, I don't know, somewhere around here, and then investigating the Gladden Fields, which is very marshy.
And in order to do that, we'd need our own boat, really. Hence the buy our own skiff.
To do that, or you could rent time from someone, rent a week of someone's time to do that.
I guess it depends what the difference is. So we could, could Magric investigate that? Would he be a good person to do that because he's more local, rather than us looking a bit indoorsy and getting ripped off? Could he find the cost of someone taking us down there versus the cost of us just buying our own boat? If he's sitting and smoking his pipe looking bored, then he might as well give him something to do.
These are some types of boats. You clearly won't be getting a Dromond. But a raft or a skiff would be. So a skiff is like a larger rowing boat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
A raft is obviously raft. It was basically a large raft with a person punting at either side that you were taken across on. Big enough, much bigger than that, but it's big enough to carry horses even. And it looks like possibly even a wagon. Obviously, it's a trading island, so people want sometimes bring a lot of stuff onto it. But skiffs are possibly for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Give me, whoever wants to check, give me basically a luck roll. So give me a D20 roll. See if there's anything in stock.
Anyone feeling lucky?
Nope.
Sigmarr the lucky, are you feeling lucky?
If you like.
Go on. You see?
Yes.
We've
Okay.
got a boat.
There is a skiff available. So a skiff is a round-bottomed open boat. It allows from 2 to 8 rear-facing oarsmen. They're not normally used for sea navigation, but maybe used within harbours. They're about 16 foot long with about a 7 foot beam, to space about a quarter of a ton. There is one available. They are approximately 60 silver. And they take a crew of 2. So it's a total of 8. But you basically need 2 people to row it, and up to 6 passengers. They're not cheap, though.
I've only got 15 silver, so...
I've got about 21.
If you hadn't all been buying bloody necklaces.
Those bloody sausage sandwiches are really good.
And pies.
Yeah. Haven't had the pasties yet, but I'm looking forward.
What about cost of hiring a couple of people for a week?
Yeah, so that's definitely doable. You see a couple of guys that look like they're negotiating. They have a skiff. So there is a very new skiff available, and there is a stall that basically selling rivercraft. But it's mainly for commissions. He's been on the island, as you got chatting to him, for about 4 or 5 days to deliver a commission, which is the skiff and the guys that showed up yet, which is why he was kind of interested in selling it to you. However, there are also, you do spot some, it looks like they're fishermen. They look like woodsmen, probably from the East Bank, and they are chatting and just like sharing a drink and some food. But they're the only people that look like they're not trading. So traders wouldn't be interested in doing that, but they might be. They look like fishermen. What do you want to do?
Somebody should probably have a word with them.
Hello, lads. Can't help see you looking at our sandwiches here, but pull up a bit of grass. Take the weight off.
A tussock.
Oh, my name's Ted. This is Jim here. Looks like your first time is on the island. Don't see many dwarves on here. Takes an eye at Monin.
Aye, a lot of wood around here.
Yeah, you don't look like you float very easily and all that gap.
No. Looking for a sturdy skiff. One that doesn't sink.
Oh, we're fishermen, never sunk on the Anduin. Safe as houses, this is. Where are you going?
We want to go a ways up the Gladden. Got an errand to run south of the Gladden. So our issue is getting across and getting back.
Oh, Gladden. Well, we don't normally go up there. We normally just stick to the mainstream of the Anduin. More fishing there. Gladden's all boggy. It's all marshy. You don't want to go up there. There's nothing up there.
Ore. There's ore up there. I mean, keep it to yourself.
What do you say? Ores? There's some ores up there.
Rocks. Rocks with metals in them.
Okay.
Don't you go giving our secrets away, Moaning? We want to.
Don't tell her about the ore. Don't tell her about the ore. Evan will know. Evan will be after it.
So you see Ted lean over and whisper to Jim, "What's he talking about ore? What's that about rocks? Is that like iron and steel and stuff? I don't know. We can't get that in a skiff. It weighs bloody tons."
Don't you worry about the ore. But that's the kind of thing we want to go looking for.
Just mining talk.
Okay, that's why you got your dwarf with you. It makes sense. Well, Ted whispers back to Jim, "Bloody mad if they think they can mine in a bog." Then Jim looks up and he says, "Well, maybe we can help each other. How long are you going for?"
Well, this first trip, probably only, about a week, and I'll look at the others to see if they think that's about right. 7 days?
Should be enough.
Tops, maybe less, depending on how abundant the ore is and how good the seams are. He says,
What does our tracker friend? What does the tracker friend think? How long does it take us to get to there and back?
Oh yeah, good point. I forgot about him. Magrick, or whatever his name is.
Magrick looks up and he's like picking his nose, looking quite bored, and he goes, "Yeah, a couple of days down there. It's going to take a bit longer getting back. No, probably actually day and a half down there with the flow until we get to the Gladden. So it's about a day to the Gladden, probably a day, 2 days. The headwaters aren't that fast flowing as it nears the Anduin, but they get pretty fast if you go too far up. But we're only going maybe a 2-day trip total to get to where we depart. I don't know. Going to spend about up to you guys really, up to you fellas. But 5-10 days in having a look around and he looks at you all having a look around for suitable mining sites, and then maybe another couple of days getting back.
No, you heard the man. So 15, 20 days till we find a decent mine that isn't going to flood in the bog.
5 to 10.
5 to 10. Well, I tell you what we'll do. Okay, so they start whispering. Do you reckon some 5 copper pieces? And then that goes, "Don't be fucking stupid. They're wealthy." And he went, "Okay, right." And he looks over and says, "Oh, right. I reckon."
I was thinking about sort of 5 copper piece level, really, for
1 silver piece up front, and then 5 coppers a day.
Miles Beard? How much?
I think you might be a bit over ambitious there, boys.
Maybe we should have a little look around, see if some more people might be able to take us up.
So Sigmarr says, "How about half that, and we give you a 1/4 share of any ore and gems that we find."
Whoa! That could be gold. What you doing?
Well,
and then their eyes light up when you mention gold, Moaning, and then you mention shares. Although they kind of not sure whether they know what a quarter is. So you're going to give us gold if you find any.
we're going to give you a share of what we find.
Well, we may have to count. There's some paperwork on this one, boys. Could that be?
Moden feigns anger and stomps off, muttering about gold, not singing about gold.
So Ted looks up and he says, "I think you got yourself a deal." He spits in his hand and holds it out to Sigmarr, who looks like he's the one who's like most similar to the two guys in the river, speaking their language closest. And he says, "I think you got yourself a deal. So what's half of one?" and how does that all work? So that's what, like, and they start talking to each other. So that's like what 3 copper? What's half of No, it's 5 copper. 5 copper up front then, and then let's call it. Oh, I don't know if we can do that. 5 copper every 2 days. There you go. Round it up.
Sounds reasonable. Pleasure doing business with you.
Yeah, shakes your hand, and you got a screaming deal there. I reckon they could catch more fish than that. They finish up their sandwiches and stuff. Monin comes back to the skiff, and with Amalfreda and folk who've done their stuff, and they get to loading stuff into the boat. Any precautions you want to take before starting going south?
I think realistically he's probably going to have to remove his metal armor because it just would be too dangerous if he fell in.
Just in case. All right. So you estimate that this can go downstream maybe 40 miles a day, upstream about 10 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty quick. So that trip down from here to the junction with the Gladden, where the Gladden spills out into the Anduin, is going to take you less than a day. It's going to be like, it's really close. It's 20 miles. So that will take you, a couple of 3 or 4 hours to get down there. It's late morning, so that'll be mid-late afternoon. You'll actually be able to take a bit of a turn up into the Gladden Fields type area, which is very marshy around there. So let me describe the scenery a little bit as you start traveling. We can go for a bit of a river mood theme, shall we? So you're traveling down river. You're rowing. It sounds like a much bigger boat than you're actually on. You're being rowed carefully down river by the
Ted and Jimmy or whatever.
Ted and Jim, and they're doing a good job. They really know their business. They're keeping to the western bank fairly closely, out of the main stream, but enough in it to get a good boost from the flow of the river. As you head around the headland, getting closer to the junction, and they said, there's Hag's Island. See, basically, it's a tiny, small, tree-covered lump of earth in the middle of the water.
Mm-hmm.
They get despite the width of the river here, they're doing their level best to navigate west of it, even though that's much narrower. And as you get closer, you can see that there is real jagged rocks just under the surface, almost like a weir, but all broken up, east of Hag's Island. They said, many a man's come a cropper on those rocks. And you go through, it's a bit of like a cork out of a bottle. It goes whistling through this short, very narrow part of the river on the west-hand bank between that and the banks of the river. And you kind of pop out at the bottom end safely, and they navigate well for you there. And within about another 30 minutes, that you are turning upstream into the River Gladden. Your speed slows dramatically. You're now against the stream. Where the Gladden meets the Anduin, there was quite a... so the Anduin itself was quite clear. I wouldn't say it's like crystal clear, it's grey skies, but not very muddy. But at the junction of the rivers, there's a lot of mud's all churned up, and it's very brown. But after about a mile up the Gladden, it gets much clearer again. And they seem to be labouring pretty hard. They're sweating. They stop after about another couple of hours and pull the skiff up and just take a rest, grab some food, have a drink. And then they're back to their business for about another hour. But by about, you would estimate 5-6 p.m., they kind of done in for the day, and they say, right, we're probably, I'm guessing, about 6 hours from where you roughly said you wanted to be, 30 miles up the Gladden. We'll have you there mid-late afternoon tomorrow. But I suggest we camp now and look to get some food. They look, when you look at them, you can tell that they are lean, fit, outdoor types. I mean, they look like they have rowed all day, even though it was downstream. But their steady pace upstream looked very, very
impressive,
easy as well. Yeah,
good stuff.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep an eye on Magric. Does he seem happy in terms of where we are and all the rest of it, and sort of?
Yeah, he seems delighted not to be walking.
Yeah,
he's just got his feet on the side of the boat, so.
He's happy, which is what I want. Yeah, that's good.
Everyone give me a perception check in the tower.
So my dog helps with this. So this is...
No, he only helps with...
I've trained him to... I'm currently trained for wisdom perception.
Yeah, it's only related to smell or hearing, not vision.
Okay,
Dog's vision is no better than humans. It's just, did you spot anything on the banks or anything? That's
gotcha. Skill, so wisdom, perception.
If you'd been walking, actually, I'd given it to you because you may have
That's right.
something, but you're in the river. So no. Okay, so Sigmarr, you spotted what you thought was like, I don't know, otter holes in the banks around the junction of the Gladden. They look kind of right at, maybe it was, I don't know, water badgers. You're a townie, you're not a village, a country sort of person, so you wouldn't really know what it was, but it looked like, I don't know, maybe badgers had dug a hole in the bank there.
Are you mentioning that because it's unusual?
Hadn't seen anything like it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, you didn't see anything else untoward other than that, but you hadn't seen, other than birds, any other signs of wildlife or anything really. So
Okay. I should point it out, but he's not alarmed by it.
okay.
Unless
What
somebody tells
holes?
me he should.
Or house in the bank?
Yeah, just small, I don't know, badger size holes, maybe that sort of size.
Hey, yes, what's them? Over there.
Oh, it's probably, I don't know, some sort of rodents of unusual size, maybe.
Nice Princess Bride reference.
Yeah, just rodents, I guess. We don't have any problems with them. Otters, bloody 8 otters. They eat fish, but maybe it's beavers. Don't know. All right. So normal precautions for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Moaning it is going to put, once we're off the boat, are we? Or are we in the river still?
No. They pull the skiff up onto like a shingly shore on the south side.
Yep.
They say, yeah, within about a few miles, this is going to get really boggy, and there's not going to be a lot of places to be able to get off safely. You're going to be wading through marsh when you finally get off. But this is about the farthest we can go and actually get a decent campsite. So they pull the skiff up out of the water line. They don't even bother hiding it or anything. It's clear there's probably very little traffic here. And then they're looking a bit expectantly at you to feed them and stuff and look for a camp. They sort of, right, where are we going to camp, lads? Oh, and lasses, sorry.
Sigmarr the scout for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sigmarr points to a place and says, there.
There.
So Sigmarr, just give me a survival check. Actually, if you're skilled in that, or an investigation check, whichever you're most skilled in.
That would be investigation, Bob.
Give me some investigation.
Oh, did I just roll 2? I don't know why I rolled 2.
You are
Disadvantage.
knackered. You're disadvantaged, but you find one that's fine. If you remember, you got exhausted in the last days of the trip. Now that should go away with a decent long rest, but you haven't had one since then. All right, so you find actually you do, even then you find a suitable place. You've got no problem with water. You get a fire lit. The two guys have some smoked fish that they've got, and they kind of haven't got a lot of it, and they look a bit expectantly at you to see if you've got any rations to share.
Sure.
We have them.
If we do, I presume we stocked up before we left. If not, we stocked up before we left.
Yeah. Okay.
How much money would that have cost roughly?
What? It can't be that much. 120 copper pieces for one day's rations. That's 12 silver pieces, isn't it?
What? Hey. Didn't want to lend us.
Yeah, I'll say you've got enough food. I'm not anal about it. So yeah, you got some food. And you share it. They seem pretty content. The weather's cool, but it's not raining or anything. And you put the normal guards out. Wake up in the morning. Wind's freshened a bit coming from the mountains. It's colder, but still fine. And pack up after a short and small breakfast. Put your gear in the skiff and cast back out into the Gladden, and they start
Rowing
the boat up, and it's slower. They've got a very nice steady pace. As you're getting further up the Gladden, it's interesting. It's what is a fairly wide river where it met the Anduin. See, Mona's looking grumpy in his undershorts, sitting in the back of the skiff. As they go further and further up the Gladden, what was a wide river where it met the Anduin it's still wide, but there's lots and lots of kind of marshy areas that are almost intermingling, and it almost is like multiple channels that you're going through here, and with many insects biting, lots of frog calls and those kind of things. And it's not that pleasant. There's a smell of rot and those kind of things from where you are.
Put your armor back on there.
So a bit of a description. So as the Gladden spills into the Anduin, it creates a waterlogged landscape of ponds, little slow-flowing channels and marshes called the Gladden Fields. So the marshes are not especially perilous or unpleasant. This land knew the elves long ago, and their blessing lingers here. In summer, the fields become fields of gold, and streams of silver as flowers bloom on the banks and fish leap in the waters. You're not there yet. However, travelling at speed through the marshes is impossible. Those who choose not to march around the marshes must either use a flat-bottomed boat or resign themselves to struggling in and out of sucking mud. So that's what you've got in store for you when you finally get out. But good to their word, by about equivalent to mid-afternoon, you've reached the area that they suggest. And they said, well, what we're going to do, we're going to do some fishing. We'll come back here every 2 days and camp, and we'll come back 2, 4, 8, 6, 8 days. If you're going to be longer than 12 days, you can make your own way back up north. So we've got fish to sell and stuff, but we'll give you that length of time. That'll be enough time, do you think?
I'll look at Magric, see if he looks happy.
Your investigation, lads.
In which case, we'll get it done in that time.
Aye.
Find out.
We
All
might
right.
be rich, boys.
They start heading with the current back down as soon as they've let you and your equipment off. It is pretty unpleasant, I must say. Let me just stop that sound effect and go for a much less pleasant one. It's uncomfortable, marshy, and not very nice where you are. This is what the Gladden Fields looks like. So there's you can see in that image there's swampy, marshy river. There's also a load of little tributaries. It's an old land. There are certain bits of it that are not marsh, but it's mainly marshy. How do you want to search it? Magritte says, I mean, I can kind of try and keep you to the safer spots, but don't really know what you're looking for. So
yeah, let's have a quick reconfirmation of what the hell we're doing, I guess. So are we here to investigate the trappers or furriers that have gone missing, or have we cut straight to looking for this Glimmerhorn that was seen, in the area?
You think they may be tied together?
Yeah, I do, but is this guy being commissioned to just take us wherever we want to go, or are we with him to find the missing furriers, trappers?
Your mission, I think, was to investigate whether these rumours of this thing are real and what will happen to the trappers. To be honest,
just both together.
The leader of Mountain Hall wasn't that interested in the
disappearing trappers. Yeah.
But he does want to find something on his doorstep that could be a bigger threat.
So let's go looking for this Glimmerhorn. So do we need to find high ground so we can see further? Is there any high ground? Was it?
It's really hard. Really hard to find. So I'll give you a long rest, Sigmarr.
Nice.
And you feel rested, as if by magic. So in order to do this from a game point of view, you're going to need to basically divide up the fields. You'll get a couple of rolls per day to detect things. It's not that easy, though you do have Magritte with you, so you're not going to be cutting across the same.
Yeah, we shouldn't get hopes because he lost and go around in circles for 3 days.
Yeah, the same terrain. So what I want is either a wisdom perception or an intelligence investigation check So this is for hunters and scouts, fundamentally. Whoever your
Which
hunters and
is
scouts are.
Amalfrida was the hunter, I believe, and
And
Sigmarr was the
Sigmar's
scout.
So let me clear. Does anyone, or can someone play Amalfrida if I clear Stuart's token?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah, so Amalfrida needs to give me a perception or survival check, and Sigmarr,
Okay.
give me an investigation check. So you spend the first day getting a bit disenchanted. Sigmarr still feeling a bit hungover from his exhaustion. Woke up in a grumpy mood. Wasn't that engaged in doing much of research. Didn't really contribute a lot. Amalfrida did find what you thought could have been useful. There was you come across a trail in the marsh, and you are wading anything between hillocky land that could maybe go 20, 30 paces and your feet are dry, to wading almost waist deep in bog between hillocks. That's the kind of terrain you're in. It's really unpleasant. But you do find, or Amalfrida comes across a trail. Unfortunately, it tangles out. It tangles around a bit and then it peters out. But it winds its way amongst great big rushes, tangled reeds of the terrain, and it looks like it's been fairly recently used. You see a distinct booted footprint in it, but that's the only vague clue that there's humanity around here. The rest of it, you haven't seen anything all day.
Okay, but then we lose the trail.
Yeah, you lost it. I mean, it was just some rushes beaten down and a footprint. That's pretty much what you saw.
Okay, so there is life out here.
Yeah.
Can we examine the footprint a bit further?
Yeah, give me an investigation check.
Sigmarr, have a look at this.
Yeah, so Monin, you take a good hard look at it. You'd estimate it may be no more than 2 or 3 days old, but it's impossible to tell what made it, other than it's a regular boot type shape, just like a heel print, but it could be human, elf, orc, goblin. You've got no idea.
Okay. Oh no, it's better looking at this. I can't tell the difference what it is. I'd like to know what's wandering around here.
Hathus will happily have a look at it. Well,
okay.
This is investigation on the
investigation. Yeah. Hathus, do you look at it and you say, "Yeah, that's definitely human." That's like, can you see here? And he points out to you, Monin, that look, this is. You can see where the heel stops here. So orc tend to have flat shoes. This one's definitely got a heel. That would be probably a woodman boot. But yeah, it's only 2 or 3 days old. It's a sign that there are people in the marshes.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, good. As long as it's not orc.
Oh.
So you camp the next night.
Is there much bird life and wildlife around, John?
Yeah, it's pre-spring, so it's cold and it's quite a lot of fog and mist in the marshes now here. It's damp. You struggle that night to find somewhere totally dry to camp. I mean, it's almost like spongy grass underneath you that if you sit there for a long time, it just gets wet.
Yep.
Underneath you. Actually, I'm sure everyone here's walked in marshes before. Not very nice. That's exactly what this is like. You're fortunate to have Magric with you. He does manage to find somewhere that does have some firm ground, but you waste 2 hours at the end of the day just literally looking for somewhere to put your campsite. You feel fairly safe. I mean, there's nothing in the marshes that you've seen that's of any threat at all. It's not the kind of place that people will come into. Well, unless the rumours of this weird place in the marshes are true. But overnight, you camp. You have the normal guard roster. Wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and didn't encounter anything. Okay, so next day, give me two more searches, guys.
It's getting better.
Nice.
She's getting her iron now.
Sigmarr, identical things. So, Amalfrida, just as getting up to dusk on the second day, you're fairly despondent. You're actually beginning to look for a camp, but you catch a very ominous sight through the mist and the fog, and it's of a distant, dark, rocky hillock to the west. She's really excited. You start heading towards it for a while, but then you just lose it in the fog. It just disappears, and despite Amalfrida's best efforts, she kind of tracks it for about a good part of an hour. And she sees it occasionally, and it just disappears again in the fog. And it's a damned thing. You're convinced that you would have walked at least the distance between where you spotted it and the hillock.
Mhm.
It was only maybe half a mile to a mile away.
Yep.
And despite spotting it a couple of times, you never get there. And so you kind of give up. It's actually, you had a fairly miserable night. You don't find a great campsite after that. It's the closest sign you've got that might be something weird going on here.
Did anyone else see it at any point? Or was it just...
Yeah. No, it's, you all did when Amalfrida
Brilliant.
pointed it
Okay,
out.
yeah. Okay, it wasn't just she saw it and said, no, it's over here, it's over here. Everyone did.
Yeah.
Good.
I have a plan.
Mm.
Why don't we make them come to us? Maybe set a wee trap, a very large fire in the highest point we can find around these parts. Set a trap and see what comes to find it, and then capture something, get it to take us, and reveal the secret of how it gets to this place.
We lose the element of surprise.
And there might be a whole lurg, might be like 16 of them, but just a thought. If tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, maybe consider it if we can't find it still.
Yeah, because we're worried about bands of orcs as well, weren't we? So we may draw greater than one party to us. Something to think about, though.
Aye.
So you've now been 3 days. This will be your third day.
Yep.
Everyone give me a roll in the... Sorry, Sigmarr and Amalfrida. Give me another roll to check this out. You're seeing some clues. You're triangulating the marsh.
Amalfrida's getting better.
Amalfrida's getting very impressive.
She's got detailed sketches and everything now.
So this is your most worrying thing to date. You don't spot anything else other than during the mid-morning, you're come around like almost like a copse of grass. It's like 15 feet tall, waving in the breeze. It's massively tall. You can't see over it or through it. You kind of have to go round it. And at the other side of it, there was some of it's been pushed down pretty recently. And you track back into this like thicket of very tall grass, and it's clear that there's signs of a camp in there. There's chewed bones, discarded remnants of food. It's not someone that cares at all about nature
and wildlife.
Yeah, it's all been trampled down. There's like a latrine with flies flying around it at one side of the like small clearing that made it. Didn't even bother like putting a latrine in the water or anything. And as you examine the whole area, this is clearly something where you would guess it was orcs.
I was going to say, does this feel like orcs this time in terms of
even like small trees and plants seem to be like used for hacking practice? There's like limbs taken off small bushes and stuff.
Yeah, that matches what we've
scattered
seen
around.
before.
Yeah, so there is signs of more than just humans here.
Do we get an idea of numbers?
Yeah, give me an investigation check if you want to. Oh, actually, no, Amalfrida can check that. Probably about 6 or 8, maybe.
Okay. 6 Hathus. That's only 6. We can take them.
And how long do we think since they were here?
So you would estimate maybe 2 days, not long.
Okay, 6 orcs a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And do we think we can track them from here?
Yes, you can until they hit water, and they'll hit water within like 50 yards. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so you spend a little bit of time looking, and it just disappears after like another 30 minutes in frustration. You kind of give up on that as an idea. Magrix says after towards mid-afternoon on that third day that he thinks there's a higher area in the marshes, kind of close-ish by, a bit further to the north, which is actually a bit close to the rivers. You've kind of been heading a bit more southwest at the moment. You would estimate you about there in the Gladden Fields, but he thinks if you kind of head back up northwest, that kind of direction, you may get something If you're looking at the map, sorry, you may get something more useful. But you're basically at the A in Gladden, roughly. So that little
Okay.
arrow is the one to look at.
Cool. But no, there's high ground, then that makes sense to me for us to sneak up there without getting outlined and see if we can see a bit further.
All right, he says, well, let's look at that tomorrow. And he suggests you camp now. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's be on our guard tonight.
All right.
Have all the bowstring ready. Arrows ready.
Okay. 1 second.
Maybe even double watches tonight.
No horn recitals from the dwarven contingent.
Alas, no.
I'm
I
just
can see
reading
by the
something
tears
down.
of happiness that you're going to miss that.
Yes. No horns.
You don't encounter anything that night. Magrick's leading you fairly confidently the next day. Let's see if there's some more swampy sounds I can play. Moving next day to get back up to this higher ground. You can see a little bit through the marsh and the fog up ahead that he may be right. Who is the lookout? It's you, isn't it, Monin?
Yep.
You can suddenly hear through the fog up ahead sound of several animals crashing and jumping, almost like jumping through the bog, and you can hear a lot of water splashing around, and then you can start hearing some screams and howls almost. Give me an insight check, Monin. When you heard that noise, so Magrick's leading you, you happened to look at, all of you heard it at the same time and kind of looked, you and Magrick heard it at the same time and looked up. He looked over his shoulder at you and he seemed quite pale when he looked at you guys. What do you want to do? It's coming towards you, this sound, and you've literally just heard it. What action do you want to take?
So it's crashing and screaming.
Yep, coming towards you.
He pulls his bowstring out, starts stringing his bows. Gonna have company in a little second. Margaret, you know what this is. What is it? Speak, boy.
I don't know, what is it?
Sigmar's
Protect me!
Yeah, start drawing a bow.
So do you want to, so you just like,
Is there any
weapons,
cover?
storing a bow?
Is there any
you'd have
cover?
you'd have to try and find something if you wanted to use it as cover. And that would take a stealth check from Sigmarr to try and find something suitable.
And what about our
do that.
footing? How solid is our footing? Or are we on very unstable tussocks? And is there any firmer ground we can stand on?
It's a great question. So, Sigmarr, you find some area behind some bushes. Give me a survival check. No, saving throw, actually. Hathus, to see if you can find good footing.
Can that be an Amalfreda thing? Because she's more of a tactical combat person than the...
Oh, yeah, sorry. If it was her you're asking from, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that then. So what was the save of the roll, John?
It's a survival... Actually, a wisdom save, sorry. Okay. So, yes, not only is your like ambush site behind bushes, but the root system is attracted a lot of grass and it's pretty stable behind there.
Good.
I will place you guys on a map and then shit might happen. So you're in a marshy sort of area. The sound is coming from that kind of direction. Can't see it, you can hear it. Everyone roll initiative, please. Hathus fell face down in the swamp. Well, Sigmarr didn't know. Yeah, just contrast those initiative rolls between Hathus's 1 and Sigmar's 19. So. Right. Suddenly into view, can you see that M symbol?
Yep.
There is a single figure stumbling, thrashing through the mud and the murk, looking over his shoulder through some willow trees over the far side of that open area. So this is very watery, the kind of grey. The brown area where you are is more solid, and the green areas are much more almost like bushes and things you can't see through. So he comes across this fairly stable ground and then splashes almost chest deep into this horrible water. and he looks very bedraggled. He looks like a Northman by his looks. He's dressed in rags, and he's obviously in great distress. His hands are manacled together, and his face is just gaunt, thin, months of starvation on it, and he's got what could be cuts or something across his face and like an exposed shoulder. You can see. Sigmarr, you get to act. So that's what you saw. You can act first.
Does he look like he's running from something imminently? As in, is he just glancing over his shoulder? That
Oh, he absolutely looks petrified, and it looks like something's hot on his heels. Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to stay low and take aim at what's pursuing him.
Okay, so just hit the ready action. There should be a cool feature. You can, if you right-click on your own character now, and then click the triangle effects button. There's a radial button there. You can automatically select readied actions and stuff. So the readied action is the bell with a 1 on it, the yellow bell with a 1 on it there. That's a new feature of the new add-on. Did that work okay for you? Oh, yeah, it did. Perfect.
Frida. Gold. Okay.
So just hit next actor, Neil, and we'll go around.
Are we behind bushes? Sort of.
Yeah,
hidden?
you are hidden at the moment. Or you believe you are.
In which case, Amalfrida will, when it gets to her, she'll do the same thing. She will to dash out.
It's not quite her yet. Sorry.
Okay.
From around, out of the bushes to the southeast, getting to about there, Sigmarr, is an orc soldier. Comes running out of the bushes, loping along. He's almost on all fours at certain parts, and he's growling and screaming. And he looks like he's gone around the other side of that little green set of bushes from where the human is. But if you want, that will trigger an ambush type action as you'd readied it.
Well, I didn't actually specify, but okay. What I'd like to do is just wait to see who else is coming, and if I'm fairly sure it's only him, then I'll shoot him.
There's definitely more noise than one. You don't know how many. And you heard growls as well as orcs.
Basically, I'm not going to give away my position then until he gets about as close as that M thing is now.
All right, so anyone going into the water type level, that would trigger a shot, but otherwise no. Okay, so he comes running around. He gets to about there. That round. Now it's Amalfrida.
Well, she will follow Sigmar's ambushing lead. So she will also ready an action that if someone enters the water threatening Matey Boy, roughing a level Matey Boy, she will charge out and try and hit them. So she'll kind of join in the ambush activities and that.
Cool. And next actor. So another orc comes running up from the south this time. And he's making ground on him. He's not quite in the water yet, though. And then from... Holy crap, what's this? From the south, from the east side... you know what this is.
Oh, it's big.
It's massive. It's a massive wild wolf comes crashing through. It looks like he's working with the orcs, not chasing them at all. And then immediately after that, some sort of pack, it comes a second, crashing through the underbrush. And they're very focused. They haven't seen you guys at all. You can just tell that they're very focused on hunting this poor guy down. You hear a bellow, and coming up behind the second wolf is... You've not seen something like this before. It's ugly. It's humanoid. It's bigger than the orcs by a margin. But you don't know exactly what it is. It's not a normal orc soldier that you've seen before. Monin, you are up.
Okay, so Monin was all looking at Sigmarr and Amalfrida to see what they were doing. But when he sees all this suddenly appear, there's, fuck this, and just pulls on his great bow and lets one go at the unknown humanoid.
Lets one go.
Okay, target and have a fly. Good luck.
For the Shire.
Oh, did you hear that great bow sound?
I did.
Feel free to turn your volume up. You'll be able to hear the glorious sound effects of combat now in There
I
we
have.
go. Right.
But I assume that was a miss. There's only a 12.
You were targeting him, so unfortunately that's a miss. You're not going to get the glorious sound effects of splatting an arrow into him. Huan, you are up next. What does your dog do?
He will sit and wait and see. Definitely slot in behind and react to Hathus rather than go before his master.
So Huan waiting for the boss to do something.
Absolutely.
Another orc comes running around from the south in Hopper's shoot, and their blood is up. Magric's looking at you, looking at them, and going. He's looking like, oh fuck, shit, fuck, and he screams, ambush, ambush, and sprints that way. Now, did you have a bow out, Hathus, or a staff?
Yeah, bow.
Okay, you can't get you can get an attack of opportunity, but it will be disadvantage. If
Will
you
that
want
be
to.
Yeah, so he sort of given them the warning and legged it straight at them, yelling ambush, yeah?
Yeah.
So is this an attack opportunity with my bow, which I have out, or with my staff?
It's with a bow, which will be a disadvantage. She's was right next to you. And so you have to immediately react.
While he gets
but so you can attack him when it's your turn next, if you want, or you can get an attack of opportunity now. So
I'll go for the attack of opportunity now in outrage and disgust at this.
Actually, what you could do, I guess you've kind of ready an arrow, but just like club him with your bow. That's another option. Or try and stab him with an arrow from close by. It's just an improvised weapon. Whatever. Realistic.
Yeah. Okay, he'll try and stab him with the arrow in sort of disgust, I guess.
So yeah, just roll it won't be the same damage as an arrow, but roll a dagger or a quarterstaff attack.
Yeah, missed.
So that missed.
What are you doing?
Then he's off. So he's just sprinting towards these guys, and he's waving his arms and saying, ambush, ambush, in the bushes. Okay, so that was Magric. Another orc soldier comes up. It looks like there's more coming around the southern side of this bush.
Oh, jeeps.
Hathus, is your action now.
Well, Hathus planned to bow one of the orc soldiers.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a nice critical sound you got there. So that was a hell of a shot from Hathus. Hathus steps up like elven tales of yore and lets loose through the brush, and it spears him straight in the chest. And he's kind of this orc staggering along, just looking down at an arrow stuck in his chest.
Brilliant. And he's not going anywhere. Hathus, he's going to duck down or disappear behind the bush if he can. But he's quietly smug with himself on that one.
So technically, if the held actions of Sigmarr and Amalfrida were to shoot any enemy that gets closer than where that M is now, would that count? Would that include Magric?
Yeah, I'll allow that. He's definitely dobbed you in it. So yeah, you just want the glorious sound effects of criticaling the.
I don't know. I'm trying it on John, basically.
No, that's fine.
Nice. 19.
That's a hit.
One damage is that. One damage is that. I think I'll go for the first one.
Okay, just drag that on Magric. That's great. I love the sound effects. It definitely helps. Right.
Amalfrida then will target him with her spear. That's a thrown weapon, isn't it?
Yeah, just check the range. There might be a range modifier.
Well, she'll still do it and see what happens. She's bristling with weapons. Oh, why is that? Why is that giving her advantage?
Maybe it's disadvantage so far.
It automatically calculates the range penalty.
Okay, gotcha. So 16 drops 17. That's still
bloody
so
good.
It's what I like about this. It auto calculates that now. You don't need to worry about it based on the map distance. So that worked fine. Wow, hell of a throw from Amalfrida. That's like near max range.
Nice.
It's like 55 feet out of 60. This spear arcs over the rushes. You think I mean, Hathus looking at it going, that trajectory's all wrong there. And then it impales itself between his shoulder blades as he's running, and has a hell of a throw from Amalfrida. Well done.
And that's where we're going to leave this episode. Just as battle's being joined, let's hope that's all the combatants there's going to be. Next episode, we'll see the conclusion of that fight. Thanks very much for watching, listening, subscribing, following. Got more subscribers. I did name check you in our other actual play, in the Praise of Old Men. But I want to say, again, thank you to all of you who listened to this and watched this. Cheers. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.